All right. Hi, I'm Rafael Rivera.
I'm Kevin Karczewski.
And I'm Nick Snow.
And we're here to talk about our final episode for the season of American Horror Story Apocalypse.
Whoa.
Is that a shout out to Madison, or is your mind actually blown?
Oh, that was pretty bad. Madison went out like a grape popping. That was pretty sad.
Yeah. She still just went right back to her retail hell.
She
so,
did. She's like,
in the end.
And I think Marie Laveau was like, oh, anything's better than going back to hell. She had like 5 minutes on the screen. She was like, I'm going to make the most of it.
Okay, sorry. I sidetracked us already.
We sure did. But that's what we do. So let's go ahead and, all right, can I just say, this was like a pretty excellent way to end the season. I really had my doubts that they weren't going to be able to accomplish this. It did seem very rushed, but it was well orchestrated, let's put it that way. But what I was shocked was that they got it in 45 minutes. I actually looked at my watch, I'm like, holy shit, he's dead in 45 minutes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I think they merged the timelines pretty early on in the episode.
Yes.
So
Right.
that helped be able to complete the season.
You're absolutely right. I was afraid that they were going to like do this in the last 15 minutes.
Right, do
Yeah.
that at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the first 10 minutes, I was feeling pretty okay about where we were, about the pacing.
Yes.
I kind of think it's the most satisfying finale we've had in the franchise. I go back and forth on that, but I'm willing to stand by it.
Okay. Well, let's start from the very beginning then. We get the Battle of the Redheads. We have
Fire with fire.
Myrtle shows up at the robotic sex clinic and confronts the bouncer, Miss Venable. And that was a very interesting exchange, how she kind of is very coy with her. And they get into this battle of wit because Venable's basically, what the hell are you doing here? You obviously don't belong here. You don't have a package indicating that she should be delivering.
No package, no appointment. Get on out.
Get out.
Yeah.
And Myrtle seems to be very coy with her, but Venable does deliver the best stinger. The zinger I heard all night was, that's like asking me to explain your hair. And I thought that was pretty bad. And then Venable took a cheap shot at her back after she passed out and told her, well, dear, the reason why, purple is only worn by royalty and not middle management, which is kind of
That was tough.
That was
tough.
low blow.
It was a low blow, but it explains this reason she had the love for purple. So I thought that was very
For
interesting.
sure.
So then we get another flash that we're getting inside the actual lab with Jeff and Mutt. Got their names right this time. And
Should we verify those last names, or are we just not going to say it?
no, please say it. What was your last name? I totally forgot. Fister?
There was a Fister in there for sure.
Jeff and Mutt Fister.
The other one I can't remember.
Which makes sense because of that arm.
Exactly. Yeah. It just it
Mechanical
kind of
arm.
it sunk in a few seconds after they said it, and I was like, last name what? We're going there.
So they're in there, they're arguing about which bunker that they should be in. They wanted to be in bunker number 4, allegedly, where Scarlett Johansson is and Charlize Theron. And Mutt argues they should be in a different bunker where all the masterminds are and the smartest people in case they have some serious troubleshooting to do.
Right.
I thought it was very interesting. And in walks in Myrtle to kind of bust their chops, and she was just owning the place. I just like that in this particular episode compared to the entire season, or in Coven, Myrtle really does flex her muscle very well.
For sure. It was good to see, especially as we get to the end and she actually is not revived when things are changed around, but it's good to see her get some very powerful scenes. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
All of that wouldn't have been possible without Myrtle. Really, she's
For
very,
sure.
very pivotal in this.
For sure.
So she walks in and she basically locks them into place as she's talking over them like if they're little boys. And for a minute, I thought they were going to pee themselves. Here we go again, I know. It's all of that Warlock's fault, whatever his name was, that told Cody Fern's character, Michael Langdon, when they were in the jail, when he pushed the security guard, the police officer against the wall, he goes, he might pee on himself.
That happens, right.
So I was waiting for it to happen to Chablis, the whole Chablis when Cheyenne threw him against the wall, and for him to pee on himself. And these guys didn't pee on themselves. Or maybe they did and we didn't know.
It would have been fitting for them.
It would be very fitting for them.
Yeah.
Oh, and plus, so basically she informs them that they're going to have to secure 4 seats for them by Vanderbilt, which is Coco's dad with all the money.
Right.
And that blows away my theory. I have to go back. Remember at the very beginning, I said, you know what, maybe the co-op was funded by him originally, but now we know they really do exist. It's not a fake institution. And I believe I also said at one point Cordelia was hoarding all this money to plan things on the backside. And
Yeah, I was actually expecting that to be the case.
Yeah. So, but at least they have access to his money.
True.
So they bought the 4 seats and guaranteed outpost. Was it number 6 that they're in or 3? I can't remember. But basically to make sure that they have a position for Coco and 3 other people, which were going to be the other witches. And in that process, Myrtle was looking at the list of names. She also noticed Dinah Stevens' names was on there.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And then I think she closed out the scene by saying something like, I have to do like the least pleasurable part of my day, which is walking out of this room without killing you.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to incorporate into my vocabulary now. So.
Yes, that was a good
She's
singer.
great. She's great.
And it's sorry to see the state of the world was being decided over the apocalypse.
Over some hot wings.
She is just, she's really good at those one-liners.
Yeah,
and
they got the most out of her.
Backhanded compliments, for sure. So then we go back to Misty's shack, which, by the way, can I just say Misty was probably about as useless as Timmy and Emily was this entire season. Why did we even bother with her? If she's going to be going out, hanging out with
Stevie,
blowing cocaine up her butt on tour for a shawl change, I mean, what the hell? Why even bother with Misty? I don't understand. I thought she was going to bring some value to this anthology by helping maybe. In my mind, I thought revive someone important that Michael Langdon would kill, that she can bring him back. That's what I thought. That's what I thought the strategy was by wanting to bring her back, not because she's being some little wuss hanging out with Rubina. But
yeah, nothing really came to fruition with her, did it?
No.
I mean, the last scene, the hug at the end, kind of, but that was really it. That didn't mean anything either. So.
No, I thought
I was disappointed in that.
I don't know. I just thought she didn't bring any value to this entire season. I guess it was just a filler. I guess, like the fact that they used her location.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Brian Murphy wanted to have another Stevie Nicks scene, and it would have been kind of awkward to do that without Misty. Because, So,
all right.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as like furthering the actual plot, maybe she didn't bring much, but she brought Stevie Nicks to the show, so Brian Murphy's never going to turn that down.
No shade against you, Lily Rabb. We think you're a wonderful actress. We just thought you were underutilized this particular season.
For sure.
So we're back at Misty's dump in the swamp, and Cordelia and Myrtle are going over the plan, what needs to happen, because the inevitable is going to happen. There is going to be a nuclear apocalypse, and she's explaining to Coco and Mallory and Madison what's about to happen, and Mallory's feeling the pressure. She's like, I don't know how I can, do this with 70 million people at stake. So Cordelia is very smart. She hashes out the plan to them, lets them know that we're going to put them under a protection spell. Your father, Coco, has secured 4 seats in one of the outposts, but I'm going to have to put you under a forgetful spell or I don't know what you would call it. What did she call it? Memory loss spell? Alzheimer's?
An identity spell.
Identity spell.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. It's the reason why we brought you back.
I'm not totally useless.
Yeah, I thought that.
I was gonna do a little clip like introduce us, and then you're like gone, and then we make you appear.
Yeah,
brought you back from your personal hell.
Yeah, I've been there for a while.
What would be your personal hell? I said mine would be like being stuck in church, like repetitive mass after mass after mass would be my personal hell.
I really.
He said it was Survivor being canceled. No,
Big
Big
Brother
Brother
being
being canceled. What would your personal hell
I don't know.
be?
We'll put it in the comments section. I'll have to think about
I'll figure it out.
But
Yeah.
for Mallory, I thought it actually was a little bit of a sense of relief that she was like, I can't stop like all these bombs, and Cordelia was like, no, you're not stopping the bombs. Like,
Right.
the world's getting bombed.
Right.
We're not worried about that. So I think that kind of was like, okay, let's see what she's got to say, because that was maybe the route that she was expecting to have to take was a little bit different
Right.
from
What was it?
the reality.
Maybe she said, in order to heal the world, we have to watch it burn.
Yeah.
I think that's what they was
Right.
using in the preview, and which made a lot of sense.
Oh,
And
it's totally.
again, it's part of their plan. I think it's probably let things unfold, give them that false sense of accomplishment and security, so we can go in with our plan of attack,
Right.
which is very well played, at the expense of many people.
Yeah, like Coco's parents. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
She told her, she was like, "Hey, your parents are gonna. You have to go." Yeah.
Nobody in your family will consider.
I still feel like she was more upset about being mean to Mallory than her parents dying, but it's fine. Whatever.
That's the funny part, is that they modeled. So in order to do this protection spell, Cordelia tells them, "I'm going to model. You're going to have to be mean to Mallory. I'm going to model your personality after Madison." And most people would find that as a compliment, but we've all come to love and appreciate Coco now as being a very caring and sensitive person. I think the writers put in there to make her apologize to Mallory ahead of time. I'm going to apologize for whatever I have to say,
Right.
because I know it's going to be mean, and the reason why is to kind of keep her powers suppressed so they're not discovered while they're in the outposts.
Right.
So I thought that was a very tender moment. A little too close girl on that girl action, I thought again. I thought it was just a little sliver of it. It was a little bit,
I mean, I'm okay with it. So.
All right, it's like college. It's like
Yeah.
college. So yes, so then all of a sudden they start the spell and they're teleported into an Uber, and it's Madison that's driving them to the hair
That was
appointment,
great. That was great.
and she was a little badass. You know what? In the entire season, the best character development was for Madison. She really pulled through as far as showing what she's capable
For
of,
sure.
and showed the best character growth. I
Yeah.
thought, because I thought coming she was just zero to bitch, but I think now we learn more about her backstory, more about her as a person, and
Right.
we come to kind of appreciate the kind of person that she is and how she really showed her true colors at the Return to Murder House.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Murphy clearly loves her
Yeah.
for good reason.
Yes.
Again, I'll call out Scream Queens, which was a great show. She was also a
Is
star.
that 2
of.
seasons only?
Just 2 seasons. Sad,
God, the
but
talk show host.
so he clearly, sees the talent in her, and he wants to make sure that she is on display in as many different facets as possible, and that we really got to enjoy that this season. So
I did.
I will rate you 5 stars.
Yeah, I have to
Yes.
rate her 5 stars too. Her as an actress, and her as her character as how it got developed. So good writing team on
Exactly.
on that
Yeah,
part.
this episode was a good exclamation point, like on her purpose in
Yes,
this season.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was definitely purpose driven. I know a lot of people that could have used that purpose. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're back at the salon, Evan Peters' salon. What was his name? Gallant. Oh God, it was horrible. Is that a bad comic strip? Yeah,
It definitely
Gallant.
could be.
Yeah. So we're taken back there, but it's not where we left them off
Yeah, they
before the
tricked us a
apocalypse.
little bit here.
They did. They made us think it was the original first
Yeah, I
episode.
thought so too.
Yeah.
But it's the actual episode on how she met Brock, because he made a compliment to her like you can't improve upon perfection.
Right.
And I just thought, this guy is the worst hairdresser in Beverly Hills, because he did not make any improvements on her then. I doubt he'll make any improvements on her now. But they take that moment to display how she started being mean to Mallory, and Mr. Gallant was just right there with her on being mean.
Right.
So I thought that was a very interesting point and part. So as Madison is about to leave, she notices that a bus pulls up beside her. It's not Oprah Winfrey, but it
It's
could
not.
be. It's more like Oprah Winfrey generic, the
Yeah.
generic brand at Walgreens, or
0.5.
Publix.
Oh my God.
And if you look at the bus sign, even like the font kind of mimics the Oprah show, but it's the Dinah Stevens show.
Like decorative cursive.
Yes, and the big hair, like the O magazine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it definitely. It's like a double take. Like, wrong black lady. Sorry, wrong black lady. So Mallory puts 2 and 2 together that there's no way that this bitch could have gotten her own TV show on primetime TV.
Yeah, that was a little bit forced to me, but it was also hilarious, so I'll let it slide.
Oh yeah. When I first saw her, she looked like she was shaking a little bit when she lit her cigarette.
Yeah.
And I think it was more like she came to the realization, like, holy crap, and put everything
Right,
together.
right.
What must have happened. So Madison, as the badass that she is, runs back to the Shake Shack in the woods, and she goes up to Myrtle and Cordelia and basically says, I want to burn a witch. I'm like, yes, burn a witch, burn a witch. What do you call it, the Death March?
The Death March.
Oh,
yeah.
I love those Death Marches. They're pretty so damn cool. So she explains to her that she saw the sign and put 2 and 2 together that she must have made a deal with Michael to get access to the outpost, and obviously, or Myrtle says she must have done that to get access to the outpost, and Madison to the point where she got her own TV show, so she must have been the person that gave the way in to rope a show and broke through that panty shield. And Cordelia's like, you know what? We don't need to burn her now. She's got what's coming to her.
Right.
So this is where the classic Sarah Paulson had something up her sleeve for later, which is excellent. So we go back to the original, start getting to the point where the two timelines are starting to come together, and we're brought back to the outpost where Michael Langdon's interviewing everyone, and he's at the point where he's with Mallory. You know, the spell's already taken place. Apocalypse has happened. They're in the bunker, and he's interviewing them. And I love her because she's got that little Cindy Lou Who hairdo. So, and they show the part where he flexes his muscle, and she pretty much put him in check, and he was like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "Well, who are you?" You know. And I thought I don't mind. A lot of people complain to see that scene, but I think it's necessary to kind of show as the two timelines start meeting together.
Right, because I feel like the common theory there was that it was the supreme powers in her that were being suppressed. But it was so much deeper than that. It was her entire personality was being suppressed.
Everything.
So that's why she felt like something was trying to claw out of her.
Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, so no, I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Can I sidebar here? So is she the Supreme, or was she more? Was she more like the second coming of Jesus? Like, a lot of people out in social media were making comments that, was she an angel because she was so powerful? Was she the second coming of Christ to kind of balance out Michael? We never got that fight that we anticipated by seeing that moment in the bunker. So
I think she was. I think she might be the strongest Supreme though yet. You know,
Supreme 3.0. Yeah. I think that's quite possible.
Right.
Just because of the scene where Cordelia, you know, offs herself, and then all of that power. Yeah, immediate. So that's kind of what sold me on that.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was very instant. Yeah, extremely instant. And you know, it's part of evolution. You know, hence the whole why they're tracking people for genetics, their DNA, the superior DNA, capable of carrying or harnessing more power.
Right.
You know, that makes a lot of sense. So, and she did have a direct lineage to witches of Salem. So
true.
So she was probably of a special genetic line.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back to the swamp, and we see that famous scene of all three hands coming out from the ground. So they weren't sure whether they were down for a year or 2 years. But if we go back to episode 1 and 2, a lot of time passed in the bunker. So we're probably 2 years after the Holocaust. Because I remember when they switched songs, remember it was like, 12 months go by, or 14 months go by.
Yeah.
So it would be pretty accurate, I think, if two years went by that they were laying in the mud and worms are crawling up Madison's nose and other places. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And they get their shit together, and you know, Myrtle does make a comment to Cordelia because you felt that, and I think it was more about the surge of power that was starting to come out of Mallory, that was starting to emerge, which is the cue that they needed to get things rolling. So all of them show up. The other thing I was upset about, we didn't hear the cool Rolling Stones song, you know. Yeah. I actually downloaded that song.
Did you?
Yeah. That's like one of those you drive with the top down. But so we're back to the original timeline where they revive their sisters. When Cordelia comes in to revive my sisters, Michael walks in on them and basically tells them, you know, you guys have already lost. I've already won. You know, I already started the nuclear explosions. And, you know, basically Miss Me tells them to bow down to their king.
We got the dinner jacket dig again.
Oh, yeah, Myrtle.
Always good to be reminded of that.
And David, like, that scene was so good, we gotta play it twice.
Right?
When a song is so good, you like started before it ends.
Really
that was like...
replay a few times. I'm glad they did that, too.
Sure.
She goes, if you talk about the sad state of the world, no, I can't remember what exactly she said.
Something about...
The world
can still be saved in like the sad state of your dinner jacket or something.
Unlike the sad state of your dinner.
Yes.
Love you, Myrtle. Love you, Myrtle.
Yes.
So he gives them an option to bow down and join him at the table if he pretty much kneels down and accepts him as their savior. And Cordelia makes it known that the only way we would sit at any table with you if your head was on it as the centerpiece. So
they were not gonna fall for that for one second. Like, come on.
But here's the character flaw. He wants to kill them all. Now he wants to say, "Well, you can join me at the table."
But do you think that was like a legit offer,
No,
or do you think he was like, maybe I can catch some of them in a
Off
moment of
guard,
weakness?
and then slice all their heads off.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty cunning.
That's what I thought too. I was like, yeah,
Good point.
If they believe that, he would just be tricking them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Good point.
and Meade would just like load him up with bullets or whatever she would do. So.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know.
So here's the thing. Dinah Stevens steps forward and she was like, you know, oh, I'm not part of this. I'm here to watch. And she goes, if you know me, I know you woke me up because you wanted the power of voodoo on your side, but I am on the side of the winner. And then we get the appearance of the lifetime. We get that nice walk-in by Angela Bassett playing Marie Laveau, and she goes, oh yeah, you got one thing right. She does need the power of a voodoo queen, a real one, not you, sis.
That ain't you.
That ain't you. And the look on her face was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, she knew it was over.
You're done. Check, please. And check, please, is what's needed because she pretty much just cut her in the jugular with a machete. And
that was so awesome.
That was awesome.
And she's like, give Papa Ligma my regards. That was amazing. That was an amazing scene.
Yeah, it really was.
And and then to follow suit, while everyone is distracted, Cordelia pops off Mead's head because she was about to go and shoot them all, basically.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you know, it's over, it's done, and Myrtle's like, you know, your father didn't tell you everything. If you're gonna wipe out the world, you're gonna wipe out the witches first. And I like that. I like how they closed ranks. That's something that Fiona's legacy that taught them, I remember at Coven, is that when witches are threatened, no matter what, we close ranks.
Right.
You know, and that's exactly what they did in this episode. So yeah, she pops off Mead, much like homage to Total Recall. I might be going back too far for some of you people out there, but that was an excellent sci-fi movie. And one of the creepiest scenes ever, just as creepy as Miss Mead being burned at the stake with that Jack Nicholson glaze on her face, but watching her head short circuit and singing that Daisy song, oh, it's pretty terrifying for me.
Yeah, that's one of those lasting images. That's I think it's going to be with me for quite some time.
Then you hear the clicking and the wheezing of her face. Oh my God, you know what would be amazing? Oh, if they had a Miss Mead animatron in the Hall of Presidents for Halloween. Should I contact some people?
You definitely should.
That would
Please
be
get on
amazing. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Just for Halloween. Just for that 1 week. You know, just a little. And all start the presidents start going down. She starts singing her Daisy song.
Troubling. Very troubling.
I'm sorry, this is what I drank on the weekends and on Tuesdays. So while all this commotion is happening, Madison really rises to the occasion as a badass that she is, and she picks up Ms. Mead's machine gun and takes an opportunity to take a shot. Actually, fill
quite a few shots,
bullets, and everyone knows it's just temporary. But she knocks him down, and they all get their wits about them, and they start running upstairs. But Madison reassures them, "I'll stay behind," and Cordelia kind of gives her a look of acknowledgement. I think this is where she earns her brownie points
for sure
as a hero, you know. And so what happens after that? They all run upstairs. And they start making their way down the corridor, and fucking Brock comes out and stabs Mallory.
So frustrating.
That chick in my seat. What the fuck was that? Like, what is this? Like, this is like the lunch cafeteria? You stole my seat?
As if Mallory, going back in time, perfecting a spell that no witch had ever executed before. Now she gets a knife in the kidney. Like, are you kidding?
Dude, Brock, bad timing. I was waiting for him to do that to, like, you know, Mead or maybe like, even Dinah Stevens or even any of the other witches. I would totally get it, but why Mallory? I was like, bad timing. Or even if you took a jab at Coco again, like, oh, I didn't get you the first time as a joke, right? You know? Because she did make a funny, like, I don't want to die again. It really sucked the first time. But. So, yeah, it was really thrown off. You know, he stabs Mallory, he steps back, and this is where Myrtle becomes the badass bouncer that she is. And he said something about that he's stone cold or something like that. And she goes, well, I like it hot. And as soon as she said hot, you probably saw like every fucking piece of tartar in her dentures or her teeth because he went up in flames as she was gritting her teeth. And this is the episode, hence I said from the beginning to the end, where you see what a badass Myrtle is. So she pretty much incinerates him. Cordelia's freaking out, trying to mend her mood. They take her to the back room, and all this commotion is happening, and then Michael is revived again.
Yeah, this got a little hectic for me. Like, there was just a lot going on. We were cutting left and right, and I mean, people were dropping left and right.
But that's what I like. It kind of has that sense of uneasy panic, like, shit, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that a lot. I did like that about this episode. So Madison hears what's going on, and then she senses Michael getting revived as all the blood is collecting back into his body, and he stands up, and then she looks over her shoulder. She's like, fuck. What did she say? Back to retail?
Yeah. Was not expecting her head to just explode like that. That was
awesome.
Yeah. That was...
It like atomized. It
right.
was like,
that was incredible.
There was like no pieces anywhere.
I'm like, oh, she can still come back from that? Okay. That's pretty impressive.
It was, I'm sure she could. I mean,
right.
These guys came back from dust.
For sure.
But that was a pretty bad, well, at least it was quick.
It was. But I think that was just like one of those moments where there were lots of shocking moments, which I loved, but that one just totally caught me off guard.
No, I think it caught everyone off guard.
Like,
I think
clearly in that moment she's dying, but like that? Like,
yeah, no, it was instant.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously he took it personally, so he took it out on her very personally.
Yeah.
So she went down like a bad animatronic or a bad mannequin at an Old Navy display, and we go back upstairs, and Cordelia's trying to breathe the breath of life back into Mallory. It doesn't seem to be working and fading, and then we get the ultimate stand down where Marie Laveau tells him to keep running and she'll hold him down, and she did. There was a big standoff there where she reminded Michael that she is the HBIC. Yeah. She HBIC, and she sprinkled a little cocoa powder on the floor. that bothered me a little bit. I'm like, oh, come on, you do something a little better with all that like eye rolling and like she did in the other episodes. She just did a little, you know. I guess they were out of budget for special effects. They used them all for Michael.
For sure.
Anyway, so she held him down for like a good 5 minutes, and until he just reaches into her and rips her heart out, which is harsh. And props to Coco with the calorie counting superhero. Rose up to the occasion and impaled a knife right into his back.
Right. So okay, when he took a bite out of her heart.
Yeah.
Did you see a point in that? Was he like trying to like take in the voodoo? I mean, not that he needs anything else.
I don't think he needed
or was
to.
it just like
I think he was doing it for sure.
Insult to injury kind of thing.
Yeah.
Remember, we got like an 8 or 10-year-old trapped in that body. So
right.
So I think, well, by this point, probably a 12-year-old.
Right.
So he's probably just showing off. Yeah, you're right. I don't think he needs that power, but I think probably from the witch or warlock lore that it does have some merit to do that. But yeah, no, that was pretty sad. But props to Coco for taking a stab at it.
Quite literally.
Yeah. He snapped her neck, and she's gone by Coco.
Mm-hmm.
She's another one that showed really good promise as far as someone that didn't have any power, but
no power,
had the cojones to go and track down Meade,
right,
and be a part of that ruse, and to stand up to the Antichrist, or to his back, whatever you want to call it, but So that didn't work out, and it just Mallory just was not. Seems like she was just waning, and Myrtle pretty much said, Cordelia parents that we're fucked.
Yeah.
Even coming out of her mouth, the way she said it sounded pretty classy. But, so Cordelia gets up and walks away and confronts Michael, and it was a very interesting confrontation, and she pretty much let him have it and told him that you're just a little boy and you're scared, and he's like, didn't you know I was always going to win? She goes, you don't know anything.
Right.
There's no winning here. And she whips the knife out of his hand, which I did not expect that.
Not at all.
I did not expect that. I thought he was going to take an attempt to stab her or remove her
I mean,
head.
to catch him off guard, that's pretty impressive.
It is. Mm-hmm. Well, she is a Supreme for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
and like he just got caught off guard once with the machine gun, so it's like you didn't think it was going to happen again.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And that was very interesting. So she whips the knife out, and they're still talking. What I didn't notice until I watched it again a second time this morning is I didn't realize Myrtle was in the wing beside her.
Yeah.
Watching the whole thing. And I think it was more like she was positioning her for an attack. like as backup, basically.
Because she said some kind of like parting words to Myrtle, so I think Myrtle kind of knew
what was happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. It's not her first time at the rodeo when it comes to one Supreme passing to another. She knew what was happening, yes, for sure. So what was interesting is that after she insults him and castrates him verbally, which is what the witches are known to do to the warlocks, she basically said, you know, your father may have one son, but I have my sisters and we are legion. Can I pause right there? That's very Old Testament, because that is a term that was used by demons or the Antichrist legion. So it makes me wonder if the source of power for the witches is another Old Testament demon. Yeah, because they kind of indicate that in Asylum again, where the angel of death confronted Lily Rabb's demon. You know.
True.
So it just makes me wonder if their source of power is from another demon.
I think it also showed just how much more powerful they were than the warlocks. Because you go back to when Michael just like mowed the warlocks down, like it looked like they didn't put up a fight at all.
The warblers, you mean? They probably sang.
Right? Yeah. Like, you know, a parting number.
Yes, they did.
So I think that really like put that into perspective.
Yes.
Like he had to like really fight each individual one. And while we didn't see what happened with the warlocks, like by the carnage we saw, it looked like it was pretty easy.
For him, absolutely. It was more like he was painting by numbers. It was. It was like, I'll put the arm here, one leg to one over here, 5 wrists over there. It was very. It looked effortless. It was almost like he was playing with their body parts.
For sure.
So as she tells him that, you know, I have my sisters and we are legion, she takes that knife and plunges it into her chest, and that, like you said, Nick, that's boom, where the power transfers to Mallory. She gets this heave of breath, and then the pool that she's in is filling up with that black, like squid ink,
and it like immediately reminds her of her mission, and she's like, okay, I gotta go under now.
She's got the hand,
I gotta do now.
Tempus Infinitum, I think what it was called. Finally, the spell. So that was interesting. She takes the plunge. As that's happening, Michael's freaking out and saying no. And I thought he was saying no going after Mallory, but it was no because Cordelia went over the edge. He didn't get the satisfaction of killing her. She took that away from him, which I thought that was pretty cool.
For sure.
And as she plunges that chest, Myrtle screeches out Cordelia. So I was very sad. But boom, we're back at Murder House. Jessica Lange. It's right at the scene where the priest is dead by Michael's bed. He's playing his PlayStation.
Crazy.
Interesting scene that Mallory chose in time.
Interesting, very interesting.
I thought it would shoot go a little earlier, but that was interesting. That's right when he had the growth spurt, right?
Right, because in your insanely popular video where you kind of looked at the breakdown scene by scene of the preview for the finale, we kind of thought it was going back to maybe team up with Connie Britton's character. So, but we also saw him strangling Constance. So we knew
it's going to be somewhere around there.
Yeah, but I just didn't. I didn't see it playing out that way.
It would make more sense because by the time Connie Britton's character,
he's way too strong.
He already ate the heart of the victim and got the blessing, the black mass. So she did choose the right time, but you guys are tricky by putting that in the preview trailer, and it never happened.
Because at the time she went back, I mean, he had pretty much just done like the time jump in his age. So he's 6, 7 years old, basically.
Right.
So it makes sense looking back on it now. But they definitely tricked us a little bit, which I'm okay with.
I'm not mad at it. That's my new phrase for this season. I'm not mad. So I have to say, this was probably Jessica Lange's like best acting moment that I've seen in a very long time. The way she just owned this. I mean, she pretty much I thought where in the first Return to Murder House, as she's told her story about that happening, she backed away when she saw the dead priest, like she gave up.
Right.
And in this one, this is what makes me wonder, did she have some kind of contact with Mallory and maybe talk to her about this is what's going to happen? Because it was like a flip on her character. Like she went in a different direction. She I've had this. I've had it. You know, do you have to go and kill everyone? Can you at least maim them? You know, basically.
Yeah.
You know, like why do you have to start killing people? Why are you doing this? You know, and she pretty much laid into him and said, you know, you are my grandson. I see those eyes are my grandson, but you're not my grandson. And she kicked him out of the house.
It was very interesting because in that first return to Murder House, we kind of got her backstory about how she, I mean, talk about unconditional love for her kids.
Mm-hmm.
She has that no matter what. And so she tried to fight through it over and over again with him, despite the killings. We had the Rose Garden of Death and all that stuff that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it did make me wonder if Mallory's presence,
Changed
you
it?
think they kind of maybe even had some kind of interaction.
I thought that, I suspected
Or
they
if it
might.
just something shifted within her, I don't know, but it
Like her
definitely was
being
just
nearby?
yeah. But to see her snap like that and be
Mhm.
like, "You are not my son. I do not like get out of this house. I don't care
Mhm.
where you go, but you are not under this roof anymore."
Well,
It was such a shift, which was interesting.
I think it's just bringing her back to what the type of character she always was.
Yeah,
I think that's what
that's a
it
good
was.
point too.
You know, not being so whipped by the house or subdued by that dark side that we kind of got to see classic Jessica Lange character that we saw in the very first season. You know, the no nonsense, the way she treated that guy that burned them all, right? That burned his entire family.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
always forget his name.
Yeah. But anyways, but it's kind of got to see a classic Jessica Lange moment.
Yeah.
So you know, he choked her like he did in the very first time that they had that interaction, and he started crying and released his grip. And she said, "You can't even do it." She smacked him.
Mhm.
She smacked him. She smacked him. She said, "You can't even do it. You're a coward.
Yeah.
Get out." And I was like, "Wow, that was effective." And he got his jacket. He even ran out without his shoes. And then what I call like a classic scary movie or Final Destination, he just gets blindsided by the big. What was it? Range Rover.
Probably a Range Rover. It looked like
It was right, yeah.
They didn't want to show the emblem.
No. It
No,
was
well, it's
very-
product endorsement.
Yeah, so I was telling Raphael that I got a Jeepers Creepers vibe because if you've seen that movie, the monster is like laying in the middle of the road and she floors it over him and then reverses. It's actually hilarious because like the car's old and the gears are getting stuck and she's like trying to reverse
Grinding it in
it
there.
over him, forward, back. It was just, so I kind of got
And the thump.
Right,
It's like you almost heard
yeah.
like maybe a limb hit a wheel well too, possibly.
exactly. So I kind of got that vibe from it.
Yeah.
That was classic.
Totally like an
The
homage
only
to
thing,
that.
the only, you know, at first I'm like, I was hoping for a big magical showdown, but then after I was like, okay, I get it, but I would have liked to have seen her like chuck a Starbucks at him, like fuck you to Jeff and Mutt, like there you
Right.
go.
Well, I think we didn't get that showdown necessarily because, again, she went back far enough to where he was not...
No threat.
He had not really realized what exactly he was.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, brilliant.
So the first time she hit him and then backed up to get ready to do it again, she looked right at Constance.
She did.
And Constance looked at her. I don't know if there was a look of acknowledgement. There was no head nodding. They just looked at each other, and then she just went forward and went for that second round.
Right.
And then took off. And Constance,
It makes you wonder what was going through Constance's mind at that point. Like, who is this?
yes.
Clearly, this was a very, like, intentional hit and run, shall
Yeah.
we call it. So
Good
it makes
point.
you wonder, like...
Did she think maybe that's someone that one of his victims knew?
Right.
You know, it could have been.
Yeah.
Could be. She was still wearing her Coachella outfit without the tie. So yeah, we have this moment that was almost like a throwback to when her daughter was in the street, Adelaide, and she's cradling Michael, and he's crying and said he's scared.
Yeah.
So you got to see him in his most vulnerable moment ever, and she could see the struggle in her face, how she's about to cave. Then he said, "Take me to the house, that I can be with you forever." And then that's when she's just like,
Go to hell. Simply
Yes.
go to hell. Which, like, is that an insult to him? I feel like that's where he belongs. I don't really know, but just the venom with which she said that,
Mhm.
loved it
That was and you know what? That's how it should have ended, right there.
for sure.
It could. I would have been okay with that if it just ended right there. But then we go back to the school. Except they didn't play La La music that time, did they? I don't remember, which could. Anyways, but Mallory's at the coven. She meets Cordelia. Cordelia's like, "You look familiar. I don't know. Maybe we met at Coachella."
Yeah, Cordelia's like, seems like you've got some power there, but she's just like,
Yeah, because she was talking about the transfer of
Right,
energy, and
right.
she's got the butterfly.
yeah.
Yes.
And so I think you can just kind of see Mallory, like every time she sees one of the witches, because as she's explaining, she's the only one who remembers all of this.
She takes over the narrative.
Right,
Yeah, the
which I
narration.
love.
Yeah, me too. Like, this is her diary. It's her
every
story
time
now.
she's meeting like Cordelia or any of the other witches, it's just kind of like a look of adoration. Like,
yeah,
it's so good to finally be back. Like
her
we went through so much, and to come out on the winning side of it, you can just kind of tell like she's just so relaxed and so like comforted to be there.
Would you explain to Kevin what you were explaining to me? Because I had a tough time trying to associate. All right, everyone's memory was erased. Because it's a new continuum now. You know, it's the same timeline further back, but just getting a different continuum now. So she knows what happens because she was the catalyst of that change, very much like Back to the Future. And then obviously nobody else does remember anything. And but so at what point does this Mallory is the Mallory from back then? Like, how does like what happens to the original Mallory?
Right.
And then you explained to
So
me.
it kind of hit me. I was obviously, if you don't follow Leslie Grossman on Twitter, Miss Leslie G, you definitely should.
just did.
Hilarious.
I just did. She is very funny.
So she was tweeting out, like she was live tweeting the episode, and she was saying that people were kind of, I don't know about upset, but they were a little bit mad not to see Coco at that final scene at the house.
But Coco didn't arrive yet.
Exactly, because it was like 2015, I think it said.
Right.
Whatever the timeline was. So Mallory meets Cordelia for the first time.
Right.
In this timeline. And she said, yeah, my parents found me just kind of floating over my bed, so they think I'm some kind of freak. And so now I'm here.
That's probably the point where she returns.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the same time. It's the same thing that happened last time. It's just now, she has a recognition. She knows all of them. They don't know her. So she's seeing Queenie. She's seeing Misty. And it's just.
And she tells Queenie, yes. Queenie's like, oh yeah, hey, how was it going? Hey, I'm getting ready to go to LA.
Ooh,
I got a ticket for the Price is Right.
Yeah,
I'm staying at this like hotel. It's like old but new, but it's in downtown. And Mallory's like, oh shit, what do I say? Oh yeah, stay away from downtown, girl. It's LA.
Dangerous. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, Skid Row.
Also, I saw on Twitter, how do you pronounce her name, Queenie, in real life?
Oh, Gabourey Sidibe.
She was tweeting when she did the ooh, ooh, like, she was just like totally freestyling and joking around. And the producers were like, no, let's go with it.
Yes. I did not know
I thought that was hilarious.
So it's all ad-libbed. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, precious. But yes, I kind of like that all came in, and then as she's still narrating, the ones that do know what happened are from the underworld, and she said, who'd not that the underworld would admire what I did, and they gave me some creds. She earned some creds for the underworld.
So we got like the portrait of Myrtle, which I loved her being like kind of immortalized that way, and she's looked at as like one of like
the Supremes,
right? Like
she's
the founding, and it's like she really contributed a lot. Then we get Nan, who is like, the world actually isn't that great. I'm gonna go back to the underworld.
I just love getting pulled and torturing people and being punished.
Great minion.
Yes. I love that she was like that. And they brought Misty back. I'm like, okay.
They brought Misty back, which I know.
I'd rather have seen Mallory come back. She earned it.
Well, we get Madison back in. We get her back at her personal hell. And Mallory's like, we'll get her eventually. She needs to sweat it out.
I said Mallory back. So Madison, yes, let her sweat it out a little bit for sure.
She deserves that. I'm okay with that.
It makes me wonder what happened when Mallory first arrived. Did Madison give her shit like in the coven with Zoe? I wonder.
Yeah.
He kind of flexed her muscle.
Oh, we get Zoe. She's back and she's kind of flourishing within the school. So
teaching, yeah.
Like I said, I just found it.
It was like an Ethan Allen commercial. Going from room to room. Here's the living room.
It was. I found it very satisfying overall. The last few minutes.
Let's go back, to the other two useless characters. Timmy and Emily, right? We had so much trouble remembering their names, but we're at a coffee protest because they didn't purchase coffee from Juan Valdez. And Timmy and Emily obviously had a purpose for meeting, and it's interesting because that whole 23andMe, I'm not supposed to mention that. My friend might have mentioned that, but
I mentioned it on the show. It's
okay,
fine,
all right. So they're genetically superior. There's a reason why the cooperative wanted them to be in the outpost, and it's probably because it's there's a will, there's a way. There's a reason why there was an apocalypse was to start all over anew, start a new race.
Right.
Hence all these Apple references and all these Adam and Eve references. They were supposed to be the Adam and Eve. So they meet, they make out, they get married. It's like time jump to 3 years forward. She's pushing out a baby. Then they have a kid, and the kid kills the nanny. Then you hear the doorbell ring, murder of crows. It's almost like it was like they pushed it so quickly. Murder of crows.
A lot happened in about 3.5 minutes.
Right, 3 time jumps, yeah.
And then the door opens and you get lock, shock, and barrel.
Yes.
Oh, it's nice and hot. This is Halloween. And there's Miss Mead. We're here to help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could take or leave that final.
Me too.
Really? I'm okay with it.
I'm okay
with it because it just explains there's always a constant battle of good and evil.
So it goes back to when we first see Mallory in the new timeline, and she mentions that thing about you can't, about the energy, like you can't get rid of it, it just kind of,
changes.
yeah.
Which is actually Einstein. I don't think it's Einstein's theory about, yeah. But anyways, go ahead.
Right, so it does tie that together, and how like the evil in the world is the evil in the world, and the Antichrist is a prophecy, so just, you know, so it does make you kind of play out in your head if someone were to thwart that prophecy of the Antichrist, would it just happen again, or
find another way?
Would the world just like go on? I don't know. It does make you kind of think, okay, how would this play out? I'm still not crazy about the ending, but we can leave it. It's fine.
All right. Okay. Before we sign off, best moments for you. What do you think?
Of the season or of the finale?
Yeah. Why not the season? Let's just go with the whole.
Well, I think we've touched on this a lot, but I have to say again, the development of Madison.
Yes.
All the way, the facets we saw her in. We got the emotional side. We got the caring side. We got her standing up for the coven, which in the actual coven season, I don't think we ever would have seen. She was very all about herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
The most growth for sure.
Right. That, I think, Myrtle kind of getting some really like strong independent screen time as well.
Yes, and
I love
for the
that.
greater bit of the coven as
right.
well.
And then any scene with Kathy Bates, obviously.
Kathy Bates, man, she's just
What a treasure.
A great
What
addition.
a treasure.
With or without Jessica Lange in the scene, she can carry down her own.
Yep.
And so here's my question: which actors would you like to see return for the next anthology season? Granted, this is not going to be a coven related. This will be probably some other different storyline altogether. But a lot of people are wondering whether or not Cody Firm should come back. Me, I want Joan Collins to come back. I thought she was a good character actress for this season. Even though I poo-pooed her for her Dynasty references and stuff. But
She actually, looking back on it, wasn't that great as the grandmother, but as Bubbles, she was hilarious.
Yes.
So I think a couple of cameos here and there
she
could
played
work.
off of Myrtle well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cody Fern, I think he's earned it. I think he did a great job.
I think he lit the screen every time he was on the screen. He did definitely light up the screen.
What do we think about... Okay, so I have to think that Timmy and Emily, what do we think about those actors? Because they didn't really get a lot.
I don't think they're going to be,
I think they were just...
Why would you
sign on? I guess.
I think they're just character actors. Yeah, they had an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would have to go back and look and see what else they've done. Maybe we should do some IMDb research there. But I'm just like...
Can we go backwards now? Now you're reflecting on the whole season, like some unanswered question, like who was the Rubber Man in the Outpost?
Did we?
Yeah.
I feel like it was because he was floating up
on the ceiling.
I feel like it's just kind of assumed that it was Michael.
Could be because he had that gift and they did show
right.
it. Yeah.
But, we never explicitly got that answer, but I think that was kind of
probably wasn't relevant, but it was just an unanswered question.
Right.
So on the side note, while we were discussing about different theories before this this finale aired. I did discuss with the guys here about my theory that it possibly would have been a united front of witches and ghosts from the murder house to be his demise.
Right.
And one of the things I remembered is that when Timmy was in the shower, we saw a ghostly 666 show up on the foggy mirror and whispering, that basically you're in danger, beware. And And I think that might have been one of the ghosts from the warlocks from the school, often probably just warning him. In hindsight, I think that might have been.
That makes more sense.
Because I thought it might have been a witch warning him, like telepathically by astro projecting, but it probably was one of it. It could have been Cheyenne or Chablis.
Definitely Cheyenne for sure. That makes a lot of sense.
It might have been in his could have been in his room. He probably staying in his
Right.
room.
I do want to also mention that I do like that by Mallory going back and fixing things, Constance then does not commit suicide, so she gets to go on and live whatever kind of life she ended up living. But so I like that kind of course correction as well.
But then then the ghost never got the resolution that they did from Madison and Chablis' visit.
Do you think it took that away from the ghost?
Yeah, it changed everything. Everything's changed. Yeah. That's the rules of the game when you mess with time. It changes everything. So they never had a visit from Madison and Behold. They never had that interaction.
I guess that's probably.
They never had their real epilogue. It didn't change.
Right.
Just saying.
That's
Sorry, I didn't mean to poo-poo on it. But
No, that's interesting to bring up though, because I hadn't really thought about.
Yeah. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah.
But anyways, what about you, Ken? Anything for you that stood out for the entire season?
I think my favorite scene of the season was definitely Cordelia sacrificing herself.
Yeah.
She knew it was her time. Obviously we all want to live to the end, but
No,
she totally
sacrifice.
The ultimate sacrifice, exactly.
Yeah, to make sure.
Yeah.
And knowing that she won't remember any of it, whatever the outcome would be.
Yeah, whether they lose or win.
Right.
Despite that, she knew that is her last option.
Yeah. So
That's true, because she kind of knew how the Mallory going back in time, that spell, she kind of knew if it was successful, how that was going to play out, and if not, she was just going to be dead.
It almost makes me think, like, did they maybe even, like, talk beforehand, like, what point in time she would go back to, like, for them to really have a high chance to defeat Michael. So yeah, for me, that was my favorite episode. That was just like a kind of like hoorah, like Spartan kick, like
Spartan kick.
Yeah, like let's just Sparta, like, and just last stand,
Absolutely, last stand. And can we go back again that there was no resolution between the witches and the warlocks, so we never got any inkling that anything was resolved.
Yeah, they probably still.
They're still the bottom feeders of the wizarding world.
Absolutely.
Anyways, you guys, I don't know what to do after this. We got to think about another show because this has been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, so if you all have any shows that you're particularly enjoying that you would like to get our maybe off-the-wall theories on and comments.
Just to comment down below.
I think he's pointing to the comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, just
We'll
want
make
some
that clear.
clarification.
He's pointing to the comments.
Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to
Now
this.
you're doing it now.
I know Raphael and myself, we kind of keeping in the witch theme. We really enjoy Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Oh yeah.
So that's something. I don't know if we would do necessarily an episode by episode breakdown, but that's something we consider.
Well,
So if
seems
anyone
like
else,
Satanism is trending right now. So
Yeah, it's having a moment.
It is having a
Having a
moment.
moment.
It's riding a wave, the red wave right now. No pun intended.
So yeah, any other shows? We're definitely open to suggestions because I don't know what we expected this to kind of play out as and turn into, but I think we all had a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it.
I did too.
I definitely enjoyed it. We got him to watch.
Thank you for
Coven,
having me,
Coven
guys.
Resistance.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
It was
thank
fun.
you. Appreciate
All right,
it.
guys. Peace out. Take care. We'll see you
Bye.
guys
See you
soon.
guys.
Bye. Wow. It's hot in here.
It's
It
real
is.
hot.